Namaste. Good morning. Good evening, everyone. My name is Pandiarajan. I am a storyteller from Chennai, and I thank Eric for creating this opportunity to tell this story. I am going to tell a couple of stories. In today, we are all talking only about Corona mostly, and we have come across a lot of news only on Corona for the past more than 13, 14 months. And I was trying to find out stories in about this Corona culture that we have to adopt, how our living style has to happen after the introduction, if I say, of Corona into our life. So today I am going to tell one story first from Indian epic Mahabharata. The story of Mahabharata happened at least 3000 years back in India, and I am going to tell about one weapon known as Narayana Astra. Astra is nothing but weapon. Narayana Astra. How I am going to tell and Corona to this, that is the subject matter that we will be discussing at the end of the story. So 3000 years back, there was a war for 18 number of days. On the 15th day, the Narayana was used. There were two families, cousin brothers, one family known as Pandavas, another family known as Kauravas. Now these two families were fighting. Ashwatthama, a great warrior hero who was on the sides of Kauravas, was very furious. Why? Because his father was killed. How he was killed? A lie was told by Pandavas. Therefore, his father was killed. Otherwise, it was not possible for Pandava army to kill the father of Ashwatthama. Therefore, Ashwatthama decided to use Narayanastra. Narayanastra was inherited by him from his father. His father got this Narayanastra from Lord Vishnu himself. Lord Vishnu is nothing but different Krishna's original God's name, Vishnu, to make it simple for international audience to understand. Krishna is another form of Lord Vishnu himself. And now the Narayanastra taken by Ashwatthama, generally not used against those people who don't know what it is. But because his father was killed, Ashwatthama did not bother about dharma or adharma, virtues or non-virtues. He has decided that he will use it and eradicate the entire army of Pandavas. The Pandavas will be made at the end, only ashes will remain. No, nothing else will remain if this Astra is shot at. Now, I am going to tell the story, the remaining portion, in the voice of Narayanastra itself. Now, Narayanastra is going to speak to you. I am the most powerful weapon, a celestial weapon. Now, Ashwatthama is going to use me. I don't know why he is using it. Anyway, he has let loose me. Now I am out. I am only one Astra, but what is coming out of me? What is coming? Number of hundreds of thousands of arrows, missiles, various type of weapons are fired by one weapon, namely me, Narayana Astra. And as many weapons are created, the earth was shaken There was no cloud on the sky, but still there was lightning, because the light of the arms that came out of, proliferated from the me, that came from Narayanastra, was so powerful, even the sun was not shining. The sea, ocean was turbulated. The river water going into the sea got reversed. They were going back, not towards the sea, but away from the sea. That was the case. Now, what is happening? The Pandava army were surprised. Only one astra is fired, and so many weapons are on the sky coming to us. The warriors on the Pandava side were there to fight. They raised their sword and archery, everything was happening. But these firearms went and attacked each and every soldier, and the soldiers were burnt down. In a matter of minute, everything happened. The leader of Pandava army, Yudhishthira, saw that. He was scared. He was afraid of everything. He declared, "My brothers and friends, please run. Please run for your life. Get out of this battlefield. In no time, will be finished. No one can save their life unless they run away from this place." The leader is crying, and he says that, I will face this Narayanasra myself. You please get out and save yourself." At that time, a roaring sound came. It was from Krishna. Yes, Narayanasra, I am hearing that. What this Krishna is telling? After all, he is the creator. What he is going to tell? Is he going to tell the secret? Let me listen what he says. Krishna told, all soldiers, more you resist, more number of missiles will be fired from the same Narayanastra. Therefore, it's the only way to face this Narayanastra is to put down your arms, get down from your chariot, horses, elephants, prostrate and worship Narayanastra. That's all. There is nothing to be done. Lord Krishna, who is in the side of the Pandavas, said this. Narayanastra I am. What is this? He has told the password, how to manage me. Now what will happen? Everyone is worshipping me. Everyone is prostrating in front of me. See, as by definition, I cannot attack someone who is worshipping me. How can I attack a person who is worshipping? I cannot. So I have to cool down. I am cooling down. All my energies are lost. Now I am not so powerful. No more any missiles is coming out of my astra. Nothing is coming from my astra. The sky is clear and I am going away. I am going out of the world. There was absolute silence on the battlefield. Nice breeze was blowing. But did any of the soldiers who were lying down and prostrating and worshipping, did they get up? No, none of them got up. They were still scared because they knew what happened. They were screaming and everyone was burnt down. And what happened all of a sudden? For every problem, there is always a solution. Yes. Now, Aswatthama coming. Narayanasra is not talking anymore. I am talking. Aswatthama smiled. Okay. Now, my astra has done its duty. Though I wanted to eradicate 100%, I could not achieve, but everyone is prostrating and they are bowing in front of me. What else is required for a hero? I have achieved. They have killed my father and everyone is lying down and worshipping me. What else I want? Okay. That is the all about the Narayanastra. Now, I request Eric to start the discussion on how we relate this story to this Corona life.
Okay, thank you. Well, it seems you are comparing the coronavirus to this weapon that comes out of the sky and divides up into many, 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 many little parts. Yeah. Each part is going to a different person. Yeah. And in war, the soldier will defend himself with a sword and a shield. But in the story, the way to defend oneself is to put down your weapon, so you don't engage in a fight. Yeah. So it seems you are comparing that in a way to the we are told the way to respond to the coronavirus is to wear a mask and keep social distance. So is that wearing a mask and keeping social distance, is that similar somehow to putting down our weapons?
Yeah. See, yeah, that is a really a good interpretation. More aptly, what I would say, the one single coronavirus, if it infects one person, it will multiply 403 or 406 or something. That's what I studied somewhere. 406, each one of them again multiply. In this case, Narayanastra, though it's only one weapon, when it is fired, when it attacks, multiple people get killed. That is why. So therefore, suppose one person saves himself, each and every one of us protect ourselves following SMS, that is social distancing, mask and soap. That is what they call it, SMS. If we follow this, that's all. Corona will not have a say. It will cool down and go out of this world. That's what I thought. That is why I connected it. Mm-hmm. Very simple, very simple. But that's not happening. It is going on for 14 months continuously. And they say there is another wave is waiting. Mm.
I understood that a little differently.
Yeah.
So this is, like you said, an astra, and it's multiplying by itself many, many times. And
who is Acha, Kalyan talking.
Kalyan,
okay.
Yeah. So you said the only way to save yourself from Narayana Astra is to drop your weapons and prostrate and give yourself up to the Lord, right? So to me that sounds more like it's a lesson in humility, right? So drop your resistance to the requirements of Corona, because that's the main reason why it's spreading, right? No mask, no social distancing. People don't want to understand. People don't realize, or they do realize, but they don't care. So here it's a question of being understanding that the humility of being able to understand that the virus is bigger than any one of us at this stage, and the easiest thing to do to escape from it is to follow the rules. So lay down your weapons, don't fight it. Just lie down, give yourself up, understand that that is the only way you can survive.
Don't resist.
Yes,
don't
exactly.
resist.
Exactly.
Don't resist. More you resist, more the problem is.
Exactly. That's a beautiful analogy, I think. I like that.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Shall we move on to the next story?
Yes, please. Tell us the other story.
Yeah. This story is about three friends. Three friends decided to go out of their village on sightseeing. And when they were going from place to place, each one wanted to learn something new. They also took along with them one of their servants by name Velan. Velan was their servant. And three young men, young man 1, young man 2, and young man 3, along with their servant Valen, went. They were walking from town to town. In those days, there was no vehicle. They had to either travel by horse or they have to walk. They were walking because they were very young. They were walking and they learned several skills. But they did not allow the servant Valen to learn anything because he was an illiterate. Come on, you are after all servant. You please come with us and take care of us, carry our luggages. Like that, they were treating. Valen was very happy. He did not have any complaint about it. And one of them learned how to put bones together and create a skeleton. Another person learned how to give flesh and blood to that skeleton. And third person thought, you have learned this, but I must learn something most powerful, very much essential. And he was going from place to place. At last, he found a teacher who taught him how to give life back to a skeleton that has been created with flesh and blood. So, with this knowledge, they were very happy and they were again going from place to place. And one day, they were passing through a forest. In that forest, they were taking rest under a tree. The first young man saw that there were bones lying all around the tree. He was examining those bones and he said that I know how to put the bones together. Let me put them together and create this skeleton. So what he did, he put the bones together. Hey, it is the skeleton of a lion. What a wonderful structure. So other two guys were wondering, but the man with the skill to give flesh. No, look, my friend, this is after all skeleton. Yeah, what you say, most likely it is lion. Let me see. I will give flesh. And I have the skill to identify the right amount of flesh where it has to be there and blood, I have everything, and hair, teeth, nail, everything I can create. So he took a couple of days to create and gave flesh, bones, and everything. And there a lion stood. But it was not alive. Therefore, the third young man told, come on, friends, you have done it, but what is the use? It is dead one. I have the capacity to give life. I am going to give life to it. No, you cannot. No, I can. When you can do it, I also learned. I will do it. The argument was going on among them. Valen, the servant, came. Come on, masters, don't experiment this dangerous thing. If you give life to a lion, it will eat all of us. It will kill us. Please, please don't do it. Hey, you are after all my servant. What are you thinking? You think that we are fools? Get away. We don't need your advice. They scolded him. He begged. He did not give up. No, nothing was useful. Therefore, Valen decided to climb up the tree when the third young man was to give life to that lion, dead lion now. He also requested, come on, why don't you at least climb up a nearby tree and then give life to the lion? No, it's after all our creation. How do you think that the lion created by me will come and attack me and kill me? Never, it will not. That was the answer he received. What to do? Valen went up and he stayed up. The third young man gave life to that lion with flesh and bone and blood. Lion got life. It came up. And it saw the people around him. These three people, what a wonderful thing. My lion is looking at me. Everyone was very happy to look at the lion, but the lion was very hungry. Unfortunately, it hit all the three of the young men and ate it. They were killed on the spot. The poor Valen was up the tree. He was looking down he took pity for his masters. Okay, thank you. Now it is for open for discussion how we relate it to coronavirus. Eric?
Yes, well, why don't you tell us
Okay,
how
let me
you
tell.
relate it
Okay,
to the virus?
okay,
Go ahead.
okay, okay. Let me tell you. See, now the we know that corona is going to kill us. The line, if you give life, it is going to kill me. It is obvious. Then why don't you protect us? Why should we go out without mask? Why should we go and come home and don't wash our hands? Why do you move closely without keeping 2 meter social distance? Why should we, if at all we are going out? Why don't we do it? Are we not bothered about our life? Like the three men who never bothered? After all, it will not do anything to me. Corona, no, nothing. It will not attack. No. See, unfortunately, I would like to say that my close relative passed away a couple of days back because of corona. So only when you lose your, I'm not saying that anyone loses his close friend or relative, they will understand the pain. I'm telling you, really, I'm telling you out of pain. My close relative, he was such a wonderful person. He was like a child. He was so innocent. You cannot find such a person in life. But he passed away. Only on Friday morning he passed away. So we must take caution. What is wrong in doing SMS? What is wrong? What is the difficulty? Why we should behave like those three young men and lose our life? Why don't we act like Valen and protect us? Hello.
Good. Well, I appreciate that you're looking at these traditional stories and finding a contemporary meaning in them. You are really thinking symbolically.
Actually, when coronavirus broke last year, I was asked by one of the television channels to prepare stories. I prepared some 20 stories, and they came and recorded also. I don't know what made them, because some of the stories are like this, like Mahabharata and Ramayana, and some of the epics from Indian. So they did not come to me again after recording. So these are a couple of stories that I have told here.
So you have 18 more stories related to the.
Yeah. Some of them I uploaded in Facebook. All stories are not more than 3 minutes. All I am saying, only SMS. Yeah. Mask, I used to put the mask like this. If you see, watch my Facebook, I have put the mask and then remove it and then tell the story. As you said, in the studio, it is not required. In our home, it's not required. I agree with you. But to drive my point home, I did it.
Both the stories are very relevant. Both the stories are very relevant, Pandiarajan.
Thank you.
And the way you drew the parallel between the two. I was wondering in the beginning what you're trying to, portray when you were talking about the Narayana Astra. But later on, when you actually spoke through the story, then I realized, oh, that's a wonderful way of talking about what's happening right now in India. So thank you very much.
Actually, Kalyan did it right, brought out the right point. Don't resist. That is a key word. That is the right.
Yeah, the other side to that story, unfortunately, is that I'm someone who's very careful when I go outside. I wear masks, I keep my distance. I make sure that if I'm shopping, I go shopping at times where I know it won't be crowded. And I don't know where I got it. I was down with COVID last month. So the only hope is that if enough people do it, then the transference will stop. Because I still see people going around, walking around without masks, and I don't know when people will learn.
Yeah, but for giving up the resistance, the entire army of hundreds of thousands of soldiers and charioteers and people on their warriors on their horses and elephant would have reduced into simple ash. within a matter of minutes. That such a powerful weapon was Narayana.
Excuse me, good evening.
Good evening.
Whatever precautions we take, you take, we all take, finally the person who has to die, sir.
Yeah, that's true. That is,
That is
I can't see you. Who is
that we
talking?
can't stop.
Sir, who is
So I'm
talking?
not saying Vedanta. What I mean to say is whoever is careless, precautionless, they have to forego for all the good things in this world. That's it.
So,
and they leave sadness to all of us. That's all.
yeah, that's true. But one good thing I have read somewhere, I don't know whether it is true or not. Whoever got both the doses of injection, there was no reported death. That's what it said. See, there may be death. That is because of some other reason, not because of corona. That is what I read it. Maybe true or not.
Have you heard the Anandaya's near Nelluru, Chennai? One medicine was there. Ayurvedic medicine was invented.
Yeah, true. But you know, but my government has said that anybody propagating about Ayurveda and Siddha will be arrested. That's what one of the ministers said. I don't want to get arrested here.
No, I'm not telling you to take or anybody to take. Finally, ICMR has come, Vice President has come and certified that yes, it is a valid product. There are no side effects.
For information, I love this. I always take this Siddha and Ayurvedic medicine for information. But what is happening by the announcement of the government only, I'm saying.
Correct.
Now, I feel the basic lesson we learn is about humility. Man does not understand that he has to be humble. He thinks he is the most powerful weapon in the world, but he has to bow down to nature. Nature is trying to give him a lesson by saying, now here I'm sending you the virus so that you learn a lesson, but man is not learning a lesson so far. That is why, as you say, with SMS, at least if we try to learn the lesson that we have to be humble, we have to bow down to the other greater powers which are better than us, then only we learn a lesson and we can get rid of corona. Corona will go off by itself if he or she knows that man is getting to be humble.
True, ma'am.
Very good. Okay, now we have 3 more storytellers, and I would suggest the order might be Howard, you be next, then Nageshwara Rao, then Rupa Mohan. So
thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. And
so
I
much,
apologize that we're running a little bit late, but at least we're not in a cafe where they're going to kick us out. For many years, this series occurred in a cafe coffee day in Chennai. And after a certain time, they wouldn't kick us out, but they would turn on the music and there would be disturbances. So luckily, we don't have to deal with that. So Howard, are you ready? Please introduce yourself and tell us where you are and please tell us a story.
I'm Howard Lieberman. I'm in Minnesota in the United States, and we are experiencing unseasonably hot weather. Normally this time of year, it's very pleasant with coolish days, cooler nights. Our flowers and our vegetables begin to grow, but it's currently every day now near 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a lot of heat for this time of year. And it's also 9:30 in the morning. And I know this is for folks in India, this is your prime time. I, on the other hand, this is not my prime time. Some people are morning people. Some people are afternoon people. Some are evening people. I'm maybe none of those, but I'm certainly not a morning person. So bear with me. I'm doing my best. And it's a pleasure to be with you all. And I would just like to say, as regards Corona, this is not my story, but as regards Corona, I got Corona And after taking a business trip that I shouldn't have taken, and was unable to get diagnosed because here in the United States, they just, I don't know whether it was disbelief or what, but when my wife tried to finally drag me to urgent care, they refused to test me. They took me to an emergency room directly across the street from my house where they refused to test me. And eventually I went down to the Mayo Clinic about a month and a half later, and they scolded me for waiting so long to get tested because it was hard to detect where it was. So of course they blamed me. And when it came time to get a vaccine, I couldn't get a vaccine. The story goes on. I'm doing fine now. I have to have surgery on something else in September, but I will not be dying of COVID, but I've lost many people this year. So for the folks in India where COVID is really still ravaging, please take care of yourself. Please use good sanitation. Please cover your face when you go into crowds. And so, when nature is done with us on this, hopefully each and every one of you will be back at the storytelling event next time. So take care of yourself and be safe. But that's not my story. And I noticed there were a couple of younger people on, at least earlier. So I am known sometimes as being a little bit spicy in terms of some of the stories that I tell. And I will keep the spice to no more than maybe salt and pepper, as opposed to something more. And anyway, Kevin McMahon was a bad boy. He had long, beautiful blonde hair over his shoulders before long hair was a thing for boys. He had blue eyes. They were so blue that the sky would look down on Kevin with anger because the sky felt that they owned the color blue. I mean, but Kevin had this beatific smile, and he would smile at everybody. He would smile at the boys. He would smile at the girls, but he wasn't a good kid. He was an orphan child who lived in the place where the orphan boys went when they were not good boys, where they were troubled boys. But he had a big heart, a very big heart. And in spite of the fact that he taught me how to play craps, how to smoke illegal weeds, how to cut class, he was my friend. He was one of my true friends. In my freshman year of high school, I'm standing under a traditional clock with Roman numerals. And I can hear the clock going tick, tick, tick. And there are tears running down my face. I was an orphan. My father had left us when I was 9. My mother died when I was 14. I'm standing in the hallway because I don't want to be in class. I don't want to be with people who won't even talk to me because I'm an orphan, and you can't talk to an orphan, at least in Chicago in 1950 or 60 something, because maybe then you'll be tainted. And I stood there frozen, tick, tick, tears. When from out of nowhere, where is this coming from? This shock of blonde hair and bright blue eyes walks up to me. Kevin McMahon looks at me. He said, "Why are you here? Why are you here in the hallway?" And I didn't answer. Tears. He looked in the glass window of the classroom, and I looked with him to see the mean teacher and the uncaring students. And they weren't really, but I was in pain. And Kevin grabbed my face And with compassion, not passion, he pulled my face towards his and gave me my very first kiss. He pulled me in and he whispered in my ear, "I love you, Howard. Now go to class." And he shoved me towards the door. And we got into trouble over the years. He really did teach me how to be a bad boy like he was. I kept my grades up, but we drifted apart. As young people do, young people drift apart from each other because they have their own lives. And he went some way and I went another way. And I was a tough child. I got into fights. I did bad things. I was very political. And in 1968, I found myself on the streets of Chicago, where there was what's called the Democratic Convention, where all the great Democratic politicians sat in the Conrad Hilton Hotel deciding who would be the next presidential candidate, because Lyndon Johnson, who started the war and continued the war in Vietnam, stepped down. The young people, and I was young back then, we came out and we marched and we demonstrated and we said, no, this is not a good war. This is not a good war. And I marched with famous people. I marched with Allen Ginsberg. I marched with all the most important political people, arm in arm in arm, not because I was brave, but because I feared the disease that back then was taking over my country. It wasn't COVID, it was greed, naked greed. I'm sitting in Grant Park in downtown Chicago. On the stage is a famous author by the name of Norman Mailer, who was bloviating, spouting words about something that I didn't know what he meant. I mean, I'm just a young guy. I don't know about Marx and Engels and capitalism, and I'm just an angry kid. And in the window of the hotel where the Democrats are meeting, a politician from Minnesota, Hubert Humphrey, was going to become president, was going to at least attempt to become president, but he wouldn't stop the war. And he smiled down on all of us with this smile that Minnesota people wear. It's not a real smile. Minnesotans are known to be nice people, but they're just people who wear a phony smile. And he waved at us. And Allen Ginsberg waved at me from across the crowd, and people were by the tens of thousands. And on our west side, Chicago's finest police, with their name tags taken off, with their batons in their hands, are looking at us with anger. To the east of us is the National Guard, soldiers in uniform, ready to march and shoot American citizens who are just speaking out. And in my country, we have a constitutional obligation, not just a right, to speak out against justice or injustice. And I'm not a brave person by nature. I'm a skinny little Jewish kid with a beard and a ponytail. And I had too much wine to drink, too much of that illegal smoking. And I looked up at Norman Mailer and I'm sick. I began to throw up. partially in anger, partially because I was inebriated. And as I'm wiping my mouth on my hand, I look at the police. I know I can't go that direction. I look over at the guard, and there's all these men my age in uniform, with anger, with fear, looking back. And there's one young guardsman, helmet in his arm, with short blonde hair and beautiful blue eyes. And he looks at me and he mouths, "Howie?" I look at him and I mouth, "Kevin?" He blows me a kiss. I blow him a kiss. And he mouths the words, "I love you, man. Now go to class." And he puts on a helmet because an officer or someone in charge says, "What are you doing?" One more look across this divide. Two friends. And I jump on stage next to Norman Mailer. And I look out over the crowd and I find a way to escape. And I run, not because of anything other than fear, but I run and I run and I run. And as I run, the years keep running too. The years keep running and running and running until I'm a married man with a child, a daughter, and I am in Washington, D.C. And I'm at our nation's capital. And I'm at the Vietnam War Memorial. And I know. I excuse myself from my wife and daughter. I rub my hands over the names on the wall until I find where I know I need to be. And it, gosh darn, Kevin's name has to be the one at the bottom, because that's Kevin. And I get down on my knees and I get down on my hands and I look at Kevin, or I look at the name of Kevin, and I rub my hand over it. I give his name a kiss. And I tried to tell him he should have stayed a bad boy. He didn't die for justice. He died for greed. But I still loved him. I would always love him. And I said, "Kevin, I love you. Now go to class." And I stood up and I walked away. Thank you.
Okay. Wait, I got to turn on my camera. Very beautifully told, very real. That's as real as it gets.
Yeah, certainly was. And I apologize, I kept moving around before. If I open the windows to let the air in, the people next door are mowing their lawn.
That's
which I don't
okay.
understand because I don't have lawn.
Let me just ask for a clarification. When you were running through the years and then you came to Washington, D.C., and then you saw Kevin again, did he really die then? Or what happened when you saw Kevin then?
He was dead. That was the war memorial. There was
He died in Vietnam?
Yeah, the memorial is all the names. It's a very long piece. It's all the names of all the men, mostly men, some women who died in the Vietnam War. And it goes on and on and on. And it's what it is. It's powerful in its simplicity.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
I'm going to stop the recording for a moment.